Hello, my name is Raymond Aaron, New York Times top 10 best-selling author, but I'm not the author that we're going to be talking about in this amazing video. It's Dr. John Gray, my dear friend and world-famous author. I'm just so happy to know you, and we're here together at this amazing resort, and we're taking a minute just to talk about create your own economy. I have wanted for so long to invite you back on my stage, and you were such an enormous hit. We learned so much the last time. So just introduce yourself a bit to my clients and go ahead.
Well, hi, I'm Dr. John Gray, and as you said, I'm the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, but a variety of other books. You know, books on how to get what you want, how to love what you have, books on parenting, books on dating, and I'll be sharing a little bit of all of that. And as I share my journey and what I've learned, and as with all of my talks, it will be fun, it will be informative, and it's very practical. I pride myself on down to earth, walk away with some real practical tools and tips to improve your relationships at home, improve your relationships at work, also improve your relationship with yourself. You know, all success comes from confidence. You know, we have to be able to learn how to dispel, how to let go of the insecurities, how to let go of the fears, so that our bottom line in life is when I do my best, it's good enough. You know, when you can do your best, and you're always, you know, be conscious that we're doing our best and we're always growing and learning. And when you're doing your best, to be able to feel, and that's good enough, that's what brings in more success in our life, and that's also what makes our relationships better. You know, I'm not a perfect husband, I'm not a perfect guy, but my wife's pretty happy, but you know, like most women, there's going to be ups and downs, and men too, but typically women are like waves. I talk about in one of my books, and there's sometimes when you can't, everything you do is right, and other times everything you do is wrong. So what do you do at those times? And what I learned, if I resist that, then I make it stay. You know, you just have to learn to, when the wave is crashing, you get out of the way. You just let it go down, and as the wave will come back up. And you know, life is going to have its ups and downs. A success has its ups and downs. And the key is how to pick ourselves up and move ahead.
You did something. John was just in another room giving a speech, and as soon as he came out, I grabbed him, and you're giving another speech. But what you did in the other room was so funny. You were talking about the difference between men and women, and the way you did it was to ask a woman if you could have her purse. And you took items out of her purse and explained who she was by the items, who all women archetypally are. Right. Differentiated from men. The first thing you pulled out was an extra blouse. And you said, men, who has an extra shirt in there? Nobody, not a single man, an extra shirt, and all the other things you pulled out.
Well, I pointed out then, here's a woman, she's thinking ahead. You know, we're in a hot climate. She might need to change shirts because she perspires too much. Men are not going to think about that. But women are always going to be think down the line, down the line. And we look at the biology of women. There's a part of the brain which experiences emotions. It's the limbic system of the brain. It's twice as big in women. Their design is twice as big. And under moderate stress, they have 8 times more blood flow to that part of the brain. It just increases. For us, you know, when a man has just little stress, we disconnect from emotions. We kind of like mull it over and go, no big deal, don't worry about it, no problem. And that's the way we often deal with stress. So if she's stressed, what we do is say to her, no big deal, don't worry about it. Why are you so upset about nothing? It's an insult to her.
That's right.
And he's really trying to help her, you know. It's like there's so many...
Every man knows it doesn't work, but we keep doing it.
We don't know better because we don't recognize that in certain ways, not in all ways, you know, we're all equal and balanced, but in certain ways, particularly when we're stressed, that's where the differences on a biological level show up. And I think that's what's so exciting about my later talks beyond Mars and Venus, is to recognize that as we're becoming on the surface more like each other, on our biology is we're still different. And women have a whole set of hormones which are different from men to regulate stress levels. When she's able to keep her stress levels down through this learning new ways of getting support in her relationships and supporting herself, then she comes back to the balance of masculine and feminine within herself. Same thing for men, is that when we go too far to our female side, what that shows up as, most men don't realize this, and when we get angry, when we pout, when we feel passive aggressive, when we feel resistant, we feel shut down, these are all symptoms of a man's testosterone converting into estrogen, which makes us overly emotional. So yes, men can have emotions, but only strong emotions happen in men, stronger than women, when we feel insecure, when we lose our confidence, when we don't know what to do and we feel threatened. Then men's testosterone, which keeps us cool, calm, and collected, converts into estrogen. I mean, this is like amazing stuff, the biology that supports an understanding how we can help each other better.
When women have more estrogen, they feel wonderful and calm and loved. And when men have estrogen, we feel pissy and
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and upset.
Yeah, whenever we're upset, you can measure a man's hormones. His testosterone has turned, a big portion of it has turned into estrogen. Now, I wouldn't say women's hormone cycle is a little more complex than a man's, but for a woman, it's sometimes estrogen is the hormone that lowers her stress. Other times, progesterone is the hormone that lowers her stress. And so what I'll be sharing in the conference, and there's a little bit of lessons here, is what times of the month estrogen is needed to be produced, progesterone is needed to be produced, testosterone is needed to be produced, what you can do to support her at every stage. Because what works 5 days after her period doesn't work 20 days after her period. I mean, it's really understanding the whole psyche of women.
Wow.
Is something men have never understood.
Are we going to have to be scientists to understand what you're talking about?
Well, I went over it very quickly. And so I just basically say, you know, just some basics. On this day, you do need a calendar. Okay, that's all you need is a calendar. And I tell you, this day you do this day you do this day you do this. And it's very, very simple when they get it.
I love when you talk about men and women, and the audience just cries in laughter because we've experienced it. We've experienced failure in those ways.
Yeah.
And you make us laugh because you show how silly we are when we do things that we are trying to do well.
We're all trying to do the very best. And if you understand how men think, and if they don't understand how women think, you can see they're actually trying their best.
Yes,
it's
we
just
all
the
are.
wrong direction. And women are trying their best. You know, a guy could be upset. Okay, let's say he's an upset guy. What a woman's first thing to do is, okay, let's talk about it. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what's going on. And while that's a good sentiment, and there's times when that might be appropriate, but when a man is upset, his testosterone levels are going down, his estrogen's going up, you don't want to get him to talk. You want to give him space. You want to just give him space. Let's take a time out. You know, go for a drive in your car. Go hang out with your buddy. Why don't you go play tennis? You know, don't talk at those times when he's upset. Now, women don't think that, because if a woman can talk when she's upset, oh my gosh, estrogen goes up, and that helps her body
So
to
she
cope with
assumes
stress.
that guys can.
And so she assumes a guy's going to be that way when it's just the opposite. And guys assume that if a woman's kind of upset, I remember that I've been married now 31 years, and I remember the first few years I was like learning all this stuff. And there'd be these days where my wife was like upset, and she'd be making noises. Okay, like everything gets a little louder with a woman.
Right.
And so what they're saying is, notice that I'm upset and come ask me what's the matter and help me. That's what it means. But I'm like thinking she's making noises. I'm just going to go for a drive in my car. You know, give her some space. Just ignore her. Because I'll tell you, if a guy's raising his voice, give him space. That means that's a warning sign. You know, you just leave them alone if men are grumbly. Just ignore them for a little while. And then when they come back, then be appreciative if you can. That's the whole secret, is learning the little secrets of how to bring out the love in your partner. And I'll share one thing now, which you can already do. And before my talk, you'll learn so much more about the opposite sex and yourself. But if you want better communication with a man, just try this little exercise. Is next time you're talking with a guy and he says something that you can authentically respond to in this way. Here's 3 things to say. Good idea. That makes sense.
Ooh, I would like that.
Isn't that wonderful?
I know.
And the other one is, you're right. And you do it in that female tone of voice that every man begs to hear. We want to feel successful. That's the key thing for men, is to feel that success. And why? Because success increases testosterone. Failure lowers testosterone.
But now you have to balance. You have to say what a woman wants to hear.
For sure I'm going to do that. Okay, always going to balance it. So just as that boosts testosterone in men, what boosts estrogen in women and creates this hormone oxytocin or progesterone? These are the kinds of phrases to use. When a woman is, anytime, whether she's upset or she's happy, show interest. Look at her and then ask questions. Don't talk much. Best thing is just ask questions, curiosity. And here's 3 phrases men can remember. Write these down. One is, oh, tell me more. That's it. Just tell me more. 1.
Even if she's spoken more than you can handle.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. Oh, my, are you showing off your muscles then? You know, when every cell in your body says, how long is this going to go on? Which in the ladies' purse, we pulled out a measuring thing, piece of cloth that just kept going on and on and on. And that's what men think sometimes. Is there any end to this? So at that point, she's going on basically, and you tell me more. That's one phrase. Tell me more. Whenever you can say that authentically, you're trying to support her, because you're realizing for women, when they can talk about what's going on inside, that's intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's see into me. And with particularly women in the work world all day long, there's so much that she can't share. Mm-hmm. It's like building up inside, building up inside, building up inside. So to be able to talk about all the little mishaps of the day, you know, man doesn't know, why are you telling me this? You tell him. You just say, you don't have to say anything about it. You don't have to fix anything. Just listen. That's what she could say to him to get him to listen. But men, what you can learn is when she's talking, just give her your attention. Don't try to solve anything, and say things like, well, tell me more. And then when it seems like you're kind of done there, you say, what else?
Even
That's
though you can't handle anymore,
You
and
can.
you think she's
Yeah,
come
yeah,
to a stop.
That's right. You think, oh, when you think she's coming to a stop, that's where you go, what else? And she kind of goes, wow, this is really nice. Because, women particularly need an audience, they need somebody to like be interested. And it's a huge gift to give her. Men don't realize it's a gift. If he understood it, then he would be giving it more. He just doesn't have that biology that needs to be seen inside. And just as a man wants to be seen outside, I'm driving my car, when people look at my car, look what I've accomplished, I'm a best-selling author. Men like to do things and have everybody see the outside. Women particularly need to have their inside, what they're
You said
feeling.
there's 3 comments.
Got 3
What's
comments.
The third one?
Tell me more. Okay, one is tell me more. Next one is what else? And this is my favorite one. It's she's talking about something, and maybe it's a little something stressing her out. And so, well, help me understand that better. That's such a sweet thing. It's like, oh, I need your help. I want to really get in there and understand it. And it's really easy. Once you practice this, and what you can, from women's side, what you can do to make sure he gets to be a better and better listener, you can help. You can always remind him when he starts to interrupt, oh, no, you don't need to say anything. And that would be helpful for him. I just need to talk about this. And then always, for the last minute or so, or two, just shift gears if you're talking about some of the stresses of the day, and talk about how happy you are in your life and what you're grateful for in your life. And then a man begins to experience, it takes several experiences, but he begins to learn the reality of emotions. Emotions flow. They always, if you have negative emotions, they will flow into positive unless somebody stops them.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you try to fix them, tell her why she shouldn't feel the way she feels, interrupt that process, then you get stuck. And what we have to learn to do as men is just know that everything changes. Bad
Right.
moods turn into good moods. And for women, it's a matter of sharing more. And for men, it's a matter of giving them space.
Let me tell you what my wife does for me, and then you can comment
Yeah,
on it.
oh yeah.
When my wife, Karen, wants to tell me something, she'll say, Raymond, yeah, this is a contentless comment. The first time I heard it, as a man, I can't figure that out.
What's the point? Why are you telling me that?
I would
then?
never say to you, I have nothing to tell you, let's talk.
Yeah, right.
But what it means is, don't interrupt, just listen. You don't have to fix anything. It's contentless. And so I've learned when I hear that clue, even though she has to tell me.
And well, she does have to tell. We men need the help to remind us, because for us, communication is always about solving a problem.
Right.
Okay, or gathering information to solve a problem. Otherwise, what's the point of talking? And for women, they use communication exactly that way, but for many other ways. One of the other ways that we just talked about is simply see into me. That's his intimacy. And for women, it's connect into me. And this is why women often want to ask their partner all these, what happened today? What's going on with you? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? They're wanting to penetrate into him because they don't feel connection. But the easiest connection is let him come into her, just by saying, don't say anything, just listen to me. And then he connects with her. And I feel this is the hope of the world. As men begin to hear what goes on inside of women, then you begin to develop something that happened in me, which is real compassion. See, empathy is one thing, but then the compassion is where you really feel moved to be more flexible, to be more giving, to be more generous, to be more supportive. And from that compassion comes wisdom. Okay, that's a clear thing. And of course, all my books is for women, particularly is wisdom. What my information is so helpful for women. If I could have a man or a woman take my seminar, I'd want the woman in the relationship. Because once women begin to understand the way men think and feel, then they can access this inner wisdom of knowing what's possible, what's not, what's available, what changes can occur, what changes are going to take longer to occur. And once she gains wisdom about how men operate, then her compassion comes forth. And that's where her love can flow the most.
I'm glad you ended with that, because for most of this little video, you've been talking about how to survive, what little tricks to use, but they're not intended for any harm. They're intended so that you can get into the groove and eventually do it naturally, and then you'll get to the points of wisdom and transcendence.
That's right.
That. But you have to learn the little tricks first.
Exactly. It's really the little tricks are just insights of knowing what's important to somebody, what's not. And where it might feel like a little trick is if it's insincere.
Yes.
And because it's not natural for men to do some of the things. I mean, like we were playing basketball. I'm not going to go, hey, Raymond, I love your new shoes. and you're going to go, I got them on sale. You know, how about my belt? It matches. You know, men aren't going to do that. But what I've learned is my wife puts a lot of effort in how she looks. I go, wow, those are beautiful. What, your earrings look great. Wow, those shoes. I wouldn't say I've never seen them before, because she would then think, but I wore them yesterday. You know, but you didn't notice it then. So just little compliments make a big difference to them, and compliments to men in a different way make big differences. Like I mentioned before, a good idea. Oh, that was so helpful. Oh, John picked the movie.
When you said that, I felt really good. I knew you were just saying it.
It doesn't even matter, but you say it feels good.
It does.
And here's how, sometimes it gets in the way for some people. They go, oh yeah, but you don't really mean it. And for women, this happens a little bit more. And so here's a little statement, okay? Here's how it goes. Giving hugs. Okay, I'm big into teaching men to give hugs. And a lot of men, what happens in a hug is estrogen and oxytocin get produced. And for men, estrogen and oxytocin, too much, makes us sleepy and tired, irritable, moody, whatever. So it's like not going to be the thing we naturally are going to move towards. But for a woman, estrogen, oxytocin is like, it lowers the stress. So, you know, I give my wife at least 4 hugs a day. And I teach you the skills of how to do the best hugs. But a part of this is how to keep bringing her back to her female hormones in a world that's always pushing us into testosterone, urgency, emergency, get the job done, leadership. You know, we need to find this balance. So the hug thing is, when I started giving hugs to my wife, I was doing it because I read it in a book. And I really wasn't into it, but it said it's just good for women. So I thought, okay, I'll do it. I'll give this hug. And then she started to enjoy the hugs. As soon as she started to enjoy the hugs, then I started realizing I was doing something for her. Now my testosterone was going up when I gave her hugs. As you hug someone ever, your estrogen's going up. But because I know I'm helping her as well, supporting her, giving her what she needs, my testosterone stays up. And my estrogen goes up, and that's the perfect balance, is when the male and female energies inside of us are together in harmony.
So initially you did it because you were told to by this book.
That's exactly right.
And
then after that, it became, I love the hugs, but
Right.
it took a while for me to connect. And by her appreciating that connection is how I got to the place where I like doing it. Because men will always begin to like something if it's successful. I mean, listen, if women all said, we get turned on when men walk around on their arms. I don't like walking around doing headstands, but if it turned on my wife, after a while, I'd be an expert at it. And I'd say, I love doing this. This is like the greatest thing in the world. So it takes a while to learn something new.
So we're going to end by my doing 2 things. One, we're going to end by my saying, come to Create Your Own Economy, my giant annual event, and hear from the genius of Dr. John Gray about what you can do to have better relationships in your intimate relationships and in your office and with yourself. And the second thing we're going to do is we're going to have a hug.
All right, let's do a hug.
What a wonderful
And I
meeting.
love hugs now, and I thank my wife for teaching me how to do it. And I'm going to share with you the best ways.